Hi everyone, Ginette Biro here. I'm a medium and a channeler, and I wanted to talk specifically today about my NDE, my near-death experience. I have had, I think in almost every conversation about my NDE, there's the question of, what do you notice the difference is before and after your NDE? How was life for you after? Did things feel different? And, I would have to say that it's probably taken me a couple years to be able to really articulate it. Because yes, absolutely, so much feels different to me. Yet also so many things feel so right. And when I was talking to my guides a little while ago, they put it in a really neat way. And this isn't the case for everybody's near-death experience. This is mine. And maybe it's similar to a bunch, and maybe it's not. So I can only share from my perspective. But what I learned in my NDE is when I got to the point of reviewing my blueprint, and of course, if you guys want to know more about this story, I've done lots of interviews on YouTube about my near-death experience, plus I wrote my book, Avalon to Aurora, so you can check that out for the whole story. But when I was on the other side, and I was first asked, after we did my life review up until the point of where we were in that moment, and I was asked if I wanted to stay or come back, I remember the feeling of my life up until that point having been completed. So something was completed, finished. And I think that was also part of why that was an exit point for me, because I had completed what I had desired as that aspect of my soul in that time. Now, because I said, yes, I definitely want to go back, and I had the opportunity to rewrite different aspects of my life path going forward, I essentially changed my blueprint or rewrote my blueprint. So the original blueprint that I had coming in was now very different because I could bring in conscious awareness. Plus, with my decision to come back, I was now bringing in parts of my next incarnation, essentially. So I had my first version of life, and instead of crossing over fully and then coming back into another new life, new experience, I merged part of what that new life would have been with this life now. So there's the first life and the second life. Now, when I look at the first life and who I was in the first life to who I am now in this second life, as I call it, as my guides called it, there are parts of me that feel similar, but there are also parts of me that feel very different. And some of that comes with the consciousness that I feel I gained in all of the experiences. But I also find like my grounding, my sense of self feels different. My sense of where I'm going, my desire for peace, my desire for harmony in my life is very different. Before, it was like much more driven based, and I need to prove my worth and strive hard to accomplish this and accomplish that and do this and learn this and dive in. And it was very Gemini. That's a good way to explain it, because my birth sign is Gemini, but my NDE sign is Virgo. So I had my NDE in the sign of Virgo, plus I have Virgo in two other spots. So I have heavy earth emphasis versus heavy air emphasis. So when I think of how my energy feels in my life now, I feel very grounded and I feel very sturdy, and my choices in life are very different because they come from a place of pause. They come from a place of consciousness where I will ask what resonates with me most. What do I want to do next? Or if something comes up and I'm confronted by something, I will think, okay, how does this affect me now? What am I seeing in the big picture? Whereas maybe before, being very air sign, it was like reaction and this and this and this, right? Air is so movement based. And so it's not that I forget all of that. But I think my biggest takeaway, there's many lessons that I gained from my near-death experience, but part of one of my takeaways is that I feel I'm living this second part of my life, or I'm living this second incarnation I would have had in the now. And so I still feel like old me, yet I completely don't. I feel like new me, and my choices in my life now would be different in some cases than choices I had before. There is a distinct turn of events for me, if you will, in the life before to the life now. And I think for many people, having a near-death experience, having that understanding of the afterlife and bringing it back and coming back, you can't help but change something. Something has to be different. But for me, I think my best way to say is that I feel like I'm living incarnation number 2 now, and I feel so grateful I get to do that with my family as it was before, right? So my husband and my kids get to be a part of this second life that I live now. And so it's kind of merging those aspects and what that looks like, and growing from there is this whole new piece of excitement. And I'm really grateful to have had that understanding, because, you know, changing out those juncture points in my soul blueprint design really has changed the direction of where I'm going. So like I said in the beginning, that took me a while to kind of understand and figure out. Things did feel very different after my NDE. I had such a feeling of euphoria, of harmony, of bliss, and then to come back down into 3D life was quite jarring. It took me probably a good year to feel like I could really be firmly planted here. And then over the next couple of years, it was really coming to learn and then understand who I am now and how that does differ from who I was before. Neither being one being better than the other, both being exactly as they were meant to, but also honoring life as it is now moving forward. So maybe for some of you that seems a little philosophical, but it is the best way I can explain something that really is beyond words. So in that being said, I don't think everybody has to have an NDE to be able to come into this life and totally rearrange things or start a new path and start a new way of being. I think we can always draw other aspects of our souls into our lifetime here. I think my NDE was a way that I could really understand that and embrace it, but I have come across a lot of people that pull in more parts of their higher selves, and they do feel very different because of that. And, you know, they look back on their life before and their past, and they're vastly different people, and they embrace all the journeys that have come with it. So I think we all can access that to a certain degree. I think mine just came through my NDE. So again, I hope that helps to answer the question a little bit. And yeah, I'll be back with more. And if there's more questions about my NDE, please feel free to ask. And yeah, so I'll leave that with you guys. Thank you so much as always. Check out avalonspirit.com and also the Ginette Biro podcast for lots of spiritual information, insights, stories, ideas, growth, all of that. So thanks again, you guys. Have a good one.